Leslie, and today I'm going to talk about what I think leadership is and how I'm going to get to that point in being a very good leader. But kind of you have to start with who am I and what is my background. And a little bit of my background is that I am a child from a divorced family, and one of the things that my mom did is we moved around a lot. I went to a lot of different schools, and it kind of made me, realize who people are and what they are and the different people that I met. I went to 9 schools in 12 years. I went to at least 4 to 5 colleges, 2 high schools. I can't tell you how many elementary schools. And what I found is everyone is always the same. You might be in a different package, you might be different, but everyone is the same. And they all have a core value or something that they were raised with. One of the things that I learned from my mother was to be an independent woman, someone who to go out and just be strong and go out there and not be afraid. And one of the things that we were looking at in class was these wonderful TED Talks, and I saw one about a woman out in India, and she really wanted to save the children from slavery. And the story kind of stuck with me because of her courage. And I think it takes courage to be a leader. And this woman probably didn't raise her hand and say, hey, I'm going to be a leader today. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to try to lead my country into something wonderful. But what I kind of admired about her is she told a story about her and another woman who was going out saving these children, and her partner, the one woman, she went out and she was killed. And I thought, boy, if I was that lady, I'd quit. I would just quit. It's like beating your head against a wall. But she didn't quit. She kept going, and that takes courage. And I think part of leadership is courage. Going to all those schools, being the new kid constantly, no one ever understanding who I am, because, I became adaptable. And I took a little bit of that courage to be that new kid constantly and became adaptable. And I think in a way, as a leader, you have to be adaptable. You have to be able to grow and learn. You have to see who people are. If I were to say, as a leader, that I would be a good leader, in some instance, yes. As a child, there were moments where I was a very good leader. I used to organize the kids in the neighborhood, depending on where we were living at the time, and I would make plays, and I would be like a screenwriter, and I would set up things, and people would have to come and pay, and the parents were so sweet about it, and they would come and pay, and that was just kind of fun. It was me being a leader even at a very young age. I kind of think about being a leader today, and it's kind of a difficult question. What would I, or how would I be a good leader? I don't know. A good leader is someone who is able to step into that gap and take charge. A leader is also someone who can step back and let the people around them take charge. I will tell you, I'm not that great at it, but I'm learning. It's kind of the good, the bad, the ugly with me, and I think that later on you'll find out some more. The only problem here is there's no Freud. I would love to have Freud here. I'm sure he would have me on the couch and probably expressing his disbelief and telling me that I have papa issues and I will not be a good leader. But I really think that I can, because I do look back and see who I am or who I was and the person that I have become. And that's the only way to know that I can be a good leader. yeah, you know, I said earlier, you have to understand people. I used to sit back and watch people. And even today, I kind of do that. And I think, wow, you know, that one's great. And this one's, oh, I don't like this person. And man, I've seen this attitude before. And this person's given up. And this person's jumping in and becoming a leader. And I'd like to go on, you know, be on their team and stuff. And sometimes there is no leader. Sometimes just a bunch of people running around doing what they do. But for me, the biggest thing a leader is someone who is willing to step up. Someone who is willing to put themselves out there, even though sometimes you get kicked in the teeth. But that's okay. But as I go on with my TED Talk today, you're going to see that there's more to leadership than just one little thing. The big guy in the suit running around yelling and telling people what to do. Because there's more to being a leader than that. You're probably wondering why I am dressed like Alice in Wonderland. I always think that story is about leadership. It's this girl who follows this crazy rabbit with the vest and the watch, and she jumps down the hole, and she's looking for something new and something more in her life. And I think a part of her wants to be a leader in her life. And so she jumps down this rabbit hole, and there she goes following the rabbit. And of course she gets into this room, and she is looking around and thinking, which door do I go through? And as a leader, that's pretty much how it is. Which door do I go through? And is that the right door? Did I go through the right door? Now, why would anyone want to be a leader? I mean, think about it. This is a thankless job. No one is thanking you for being the leader. People are pretty much grumbling at you because they think they know better. And one of the aspects that being a leader is dealing with Tweedledee and Tweedledum. And these chaotic people that we work with. And in minutes, they're out there and you've worked with them. And they think maybe they're smarter than you or cleverer than you. And what do you know? Well, you probably don't know that much. No one really does. But I think as a leader, you're trying to do the best you can. And all Alice is trying to do is kind of get home. She's kind of figuring out maybe Wonderland is a little too wondrous for her. But being a leader means making decisions. Whether they're good or bad. Going through that door. Do you eat the cake? Do you take the potion? What do? You go through that door. And no matter what. And I think for me, I'm like Alice. I want to go through that door. I want to see what's on the other side. And I want to see how I can be a better leader or how I can change or become a very good leader. And that's the most important thing. One of the things that you always come up to is that darn Mad Hatter, that hat, and that tea party. And you know it, you've gone to meetings with the Mad Hatter, and you've sat there and you thought, gosh, what is going on? But the underlying issue is don't disturb the mouse. Never disturb that mouse, because that mouse equals chaos. And the chaos is something that you want to avoid all the time. One of the things that I love about this story is when I think about it, I think of leadership, and I think of it in the way of the Queen of Hearts. Man, she's a maniac, this queen, and she will chop off your head. She does not care. And the thing is that you feel like you're racing and racing and racing from those deck of cards. They're chasing you with those pitchforks and everything. And if you make a bad decision as a leader, that's what they do. A good decision, well, you're doing all right. Yeah, you're going to get to eat at the big table and everything. But you're not always going to make the right decision. You're not always going to go through the right door. And that's always an issue. But I think even thinking about or wanting to be a leader, I think it's important. Again, earlier I said you have to have courage. You only need a little bit, but you do have to have courage. You have to be able to step up and say, yes, I'm going to take on this, no matter what. So here I am, and this is my uniform. I'm very proud to work for the National Park Service. Wear the pretty hat. In the Park Service, I've become a leader. Whether I want it or not. There are some people I'm working with that don't want them. I don't want them. But I have to have them to grow. I have to take on my Tweedledees and Tweedledums. And not that I'm naming any people. I'm not going to say anything. But kind of started out, me being a leader is when I was in the Navy. And if you can see this cute little white shirt with my little marks and stuff, and I wore a different hat then. I wore this hat. I was very proud to be to serve in our country. I was a little thinner then, just a little girl. But I met many people who were very bad leaders. And I don't think I met anyone who I could really look up to then. They weren't bad people. They were just people who were in a position or in a status. Of course, I was not in a status, if you notice. They were just people who were put in situations, and some of them were not good leaders. Some of them, I will say, they could have literally stopped being a leader. Leadership is tough, folks. Just because you put on a hat, just because you wear a uniform, doesn't make you a leader. It takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of learning. There's a lot of books out there. I've looked at them because I want to be that good leader. I am in charge of 7 people now, and I am not the best person. There are times where I want to tell people, look, back off. It's okay. Calm down. And I know there's people out there that know more than me. And I'm willing to let them take that lead. Because I know as a leader you have to step back. I actually had a conversation with a friend the other day. We were in uniform. We were in our truck. We were going to deliver some ATVs. And she said to me, we've been friends for a while. I just want to tell you that. And we've been co-workers. We've worked for over 3 years together. And we were talking about another employee in general, just talking about how hard it is to be a leader and to try to supervise different personalities. And she said to me, she said, Leslie, I will tell you that I would not want to work with you because you seem very difficult. And I was kind of shocked because every time I worked with her, I was always very pleasant, and I try not to be too bossy, which, by the way, I'm very bossy, and I try not to be. I try really hard not to be, that bossy and stuff, but one of the things that I found as being a leader is you can't let people tear you down. You can't allow their opinions to change who you are. I know who I am. I'm a big gal in this beautiful uniform. I served my country many times over. I love being a civil servant. It's what I do. But there are parts of me that I'm not willing to give in. I'm not willing to let go. I just can't. Because you don't like me, I can't. And being a leader doesn't mean that you're going to be liked all the time. There's no way you can like me all the time. I may look adorable, but you're not going to like me all the time. And that's okay. I'm fine with that. And I think as a leader, you have to learn how to develop a consciousness. And one of the things that we talked about earlier was learning their different personalities. Because we have Tweedledee and Tweedledum running around. And you have to learn their personalities to get them to point A and then to point B, to make them a better employee and to make them better leaders as well. I'm very proud to wear this uniform. I'm proud to be a leader, even though I got some people that I just want to say, please take them back. You take them, I'll take these people, you take those. We'll all be happy, everything will work out. But I can't do that. I have to step back, as I did as a child, and look at these people, analyze who they are, analyze who I am, and work with what I have, and just kind of deal with them the best way I can. Well, it's just little old me again, back in my regular old day clothes. I've learned a lot. I know there's so much more I can talk about leadership. It's just little old me, just this little big gal, and I'm just trying to do the best I can, just like everyone else. Leadership is not easy, but it can be done. There are many great leaders out there. I've worked with many wonderful people, very kind, generous people. They always wanted to work with you. They bent over backwards to be kind. And I've worked with some real yahoos. That's the kindest thing I can say about them. Some mean people. People who believe that being a leader was being mean and angry all the time and telling you what to do. Currently I have a supervisor, and I do like her. There are moments, of course, I mean, nothing's ever going to be perfect. But I look up to her. I want to emulate her in so many different ways. She allows me to do my job. She trusts me to do my job. And she is teaching me to be a good leader. And one of the things is, earlier I was saying that I've got all these people now that I'm their supervisor, I'm their their leader and everything. And one of the things I'm taking from my supervisor is I'm allowing these people to grow. I'm allowing these people to be leaders in their own rights. I'm allowing them to have the courage to make those mistakes and learn from those mistakes, just as I have to do every day. I'm not perfect. I wish I was. I'd like to be the rock star supervisor. Wouldn't that be great? The best supervisor you ever had. That gal that you went to and you could talk to them and and just they always made you feel good about yourself. I'd like that. I'd like that very much. Will it happen? I hope so. Listen, people, I'm the good, the bad, and the ugly. I can't help it. I'm just Leslie. I'm not easy, but I'm not that difficult either. I'm willing to work with people. I'm willing to go through that door, grab my bag of courage, and make those mistakes and learn from those mistakes. That's what a good leader is, and that's something that I would like to be. Thanks for coming. Bye-bye.